Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Cherry Cola Coca 1 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit and says, Am I the arsehole here for refusing to go to my best guy friend's wedding and telling my parents I'm going to cut them off. I grew up with my family and another family whose parents were best friends with mine since high school. My parents had me, female 28, my two older brothers, male 31 and male 35, while their friends had four boys, male 27, male 29, male 30 and male 37. Growing up was pretty nice, but the boys used to pick on me a lot and exclude me during their girls are yucky phase. I wouldn't say I see these boys as brothers, but maybe as cousins. I was close to male 27 and male 29 when we were little. I will call them Adam and Jake. Until we were 15, we were really close and did a lot together. I don't talk to Jake much anymore. No hard feelings, but he grew up to be a classic tech bro and can be pretty condescending. However, our families are obsessed with the idea of us ending up together. The other guys are already married and Adam is gay. They've always pushed for us to be together, making us go to the store alone at Christmas, telling us both an earlier time to meet at the restaurant for Dad's birthday, talking him up a lot, etc. And both Jake and I met our SOs. I've been with my fiance for 5 years and Jake met his fiance 3 years ago. Our families have been very disappointed and have not welcomed our SOs warmly. One Christmas, I took Jake's fiancée, Tracy, aside and explained the weird family law to her, with Jake, just like we did my fiancé. We assured her that it was a weird thing of our family and that Jake and I have not been close for ages and have never had more than a friendly relationship. Ironically, having to stand against our parents made us all a little closer. But we come to the problem. Jake and Tracy are going to get married soon, and it has been chaos. Our parents have upped their antics by 2,000%. Family dinners are full of, we thought you two would get married. They brought out a picture I apparently drew of me and Jake when we were little of us getting married. I suspect they made it. It did not look like it was made by an actual child. They were cornering Tracy about making me the matron of honor and letting me wear white. What? Also his brothers and my brothers joined in, making jokes about us being star-crossed lovers and calling me the missus. I distanced myself heavily from my family during that time and stopped going home after talking to them did nothing. One day, one of my brothers invited me out. He said it was just my two brothers and me. So I went to his apartment and when I arrived, it was Jake's bachelor party. One of his brothers screamed out that the stripper was here. Fucking ew. I wanted to leave, but the next train left close to 12 AM, and it was not the safest neighborhood, so I stayed. They tried to make me drunk, were constantly physically pushing me and Jake together, and even locked us in my brother's bedroom. I could hear loud laughing from the other side. Jake and I did not talk much. He apologized to me and asked me if I could not come to the wedding as I made Tracy uncomfortable. I completely understood and said at that point I was not planning to go anymore. He offered to drive me home as he was also completely sober. When they opened the door, he said we were going home. In their heads, that meant we were going to be intimate or something because all the caveman sounds started. The next day, my phone was blowing up. Someone uploaded a video of me and Jake leaving and captioned it, "Finally." It was very awkward. I am clearly uncomfortable and so is Jake as we exit the apartment and enter his car. There were comments, calls and texts. Tracy called me crying and cursing me out. Jake called me apologizing and telling me he tried to explain. My mother and his mother sent me a bunch of texts saying how proud they are and it was about time. My fiancé is understanding, but he wants me to make clearer boundaries with my family. I drove past their house and they were all there. They didn't even let me talk and were just love bombing me. I started screaming and told them Jake and I have never and will never be together, and I will not be leaving my loving fiancé. But I would not be going to Jake's wedding, and if they kept up with this, I would cut every single one of them off because I am tired and just want to live my life and not their incest fairy tale. By the end of my meltdown, my mother and his mother were crying, and my father just told me to get out. Since then, I've been getting messages from my brothers calling me a bitch for treating my family like that because they only wanted the best for me. So, am I the arsehole here? Edit. No, and Uber was not an option. Taxis and Uber are ungodly expensive here. Thus is, take the freaking train. Also, no, we don't have a car. Tracy was away and my fiance had a night shift. What the hell is this insanity? Of course, there's no way you're going to be the arsehole here, but how do you deal with this? The only way I can think is cutting these people off. They sound absolutely batshit crazy. And I'm going to assume from that edit that someone was saying to OP why they didn't leave, etc. Whether it was a question or they said, oh, why don't you just leave? I'm more like, what the fuck's this behavior that we're seeing here? And the brother's behavior saying, here's the stripper, trying to get her drunk and then physically pushing them together. Disgusting behavior. The whole thing is wild, but the fact that there's a whole group of people and not one of them is saying, hold up, this is fucking weird what we're doing right here, is mad. And when you finally told them to pack it in with this bullshit, both the mothers start crying and the father throws you out. And then people are messaging you, calling you an arsehole and a bitch for this. What the hell? I can only just say it's to cut these people off. I can't see that getting any better. I mean, this has been going on for however long now anyway. But Bella Rose says, not the arsehole. Both families are insane and your brothers are gross for even participating in this disaster. You and Jake have made it clear that you are not interested in each other romantically, and you are currently both engaged to other people. However, both sets of parents and siblings' incessant behavior are adding fuel to the fire and causing a divide, but are blaming you for their disregard and ignorance. I'm baffled and stunned that these adults think what they are doing is okay. They are being selfish and manipulative and need to look in the mirror and examine their immature and abhorrent behavior instead of insulting and putting blame on you. If you don't mind me asking, where do you live? I'm shocked that this is even happening. You should get both families and your brothers to read this thread. They should be ashamed of themselves and embarrassed for acting like emotionally immature teenagers. Abstract Engineer says calling their own sister a stripper for Jake's pleasure is beyond gross. Marvelous Thing says agreed. The brothers' actions during the bachelor party were the most outrageous behavior in the whole story. It's bad enough that the parents have gotten OP's brothers in on their delusional fantasy. But what our brothers did is just beyond all sense of decency. Mean says not the arsehole. I grew up in a similar situation with a close friend of mine. It didn't really stop until she came out a couple of years back, but her mother still refers to me as her son and talks about what could have been, even though I'm now engaged and her daughter is, again, gay. It drives me crazy that parents try to force shit like this on their kids. Hope you did ask, how did you deal with it? Did it get better? Did they ever tell you why they were so obsessed? Zookeeper Game says, it sounds like a fantasy the two families built up over your lifetime that just got stronger over the years. I think it's time for a timeout. I'd write up an email or letter or text and mass send it to your brothers, who are disgusting by the way for their behavior at the bachelor party, and parents. Don't bother with the other family. They aren't yours to deal with. Let them know in detail how they've hurt and upset you over this issue and tell them that you're on a timeout from contact with any of them. That if they offer sincere apologies, you'll consider allowing them back into your life, but until that time, you're going to concentrate on building your life with your partner. Then block everyone. I think your mental health will improve immensely with that stress removed. So OP came in with her update and said, Update 1, Jake and Tracy broke up. Update 2, my fiance was cheating with Tracy the whole time. Update 3, I think I might have feelings for Jake, but I can't let our families win. Update 4, I'm pregnant and it's Jake's. I'm kidding. Just thought this comment was particularly hilarious. First of all, thank you for all your insight, especially those of you who reached out in the comments and privately with similar stories. I honestly thought my family was the only demented one, but apparently it's a trend. Also, a lot of German parents have done that. In that vein, and excuse the pronunciation here, but I'm gonna give it a go. Yo, a Scheiße, ne? Yeah, shit, right? Or something similar. Now for the real update. My fiance and I spoke and concluded that cutting out my family for now would be the best option. I sent a message to my parents and brothers explaining my decision to distance myself for the time being. I emphasized that while I love them, I cannot continue to endure their pressure and manipulation. I told them their behavior had made me resent them and, to some extent, Jake. They ruined any friendly relationship we could have had and made me feel gross and exploited. I told them they were setting me up to be sexually assaulted if it had been anyone else but Jake. I also told them that their controlling behavior was the reason I never told them about anything in my life. I told them it hurts to be with them, and I'm in a bad mood for days after meeting them. I never look forward to holidays with them and have caught myself wishing I would get into an accident or get sick before the holidays to have an excuse not to go. They cut themselves out of my life and they will not be there when I get married, have kids, or in any other life achievements. After sending the message, I left the group, blocked them all, and felt really light. I cried with my fiancé for hours and I didn't really know if it was tears of sadness, relief, or happiness. I was so conflicted I just kind of fell asleep. Jake also cut his part of the family off. According to Tracy, he just went to their home, dumped a sack of their stuff on the table, told them to stay the fuck away from him, and left. His mother tried reaching out to me and my father tried reaching out to Jake. Our fiancés been targeted by them too. My parents sent the police to my house claiming my fiancé had me against their will. We talked to the police. They couldn't do much but assured me that they would leave a note in their database clarifying that I am not being abused. They also asked how to go about a no contact order, and they pointed me to resources. They also said they would tell my parents to leave me alone and noted that should they make false reports, they would have to cover the cost of the drive out to me. As of Friday, we have different numbers. Tracy is coming over this afternoon and I'm taking her to my nail salon, and afterwards we're going to a game store because she really wants to play some escape games. Jake and I are still not close, and he is also not close to my fiancé, but he is happy that we have carved out a healthy space and that Tracy is so comfortable with me now in such a short span of time. They are re-evaluating their wedding plans, but I won't disclose more here. Also, to the people that made fun of me for saying that I couldn't drive by anywhere without a car. I have a bike. Anyway, that was it. It was only a week and I don't see this going much further. My parents are going to keep contacting me probably, but it's going to be alright. We are all alright. Edit, thank you for so many well wishes. It has been really nice to read all these comments. Just one thing, don't give me legal advice. Remember that we are most likely in a different country and our laws and procedures probably don't apply to the ones you know. For example, the camera thing to have as evidence is a nice sentiment, but in Germany, it's difficult. We have super strict data protection laws that make things like a Ring camera unviable or a restraining order. The process here is not only to go ask and get it, but you can be well assured that I am looking into all viable options and getting some legal advice from lawyers in my area. And just a couple of the top comments from that one. Absolute Wreck says, I love your sense of humor. Definitely got my laugh in the first paragraph. As for your families, good on you and Jake for cutting everyone off. I doubt that false report of you being abused is the end of it though. Please be safe. You're doing the right thing by seeking a no contact order. Make sure you have security at your wedding and maybe suggest that Jake and Tracy do the same. IVB says, update 5, Tracy and I are now engaged. Verse says, update 6, Tracy and I are both pregnant with triplets. Twins are so last year. Another comment says, update 7, to clarify we're sharing triplets. Each has one kid and half of another, which will merge into a full kid once we give birth. Burr's reply saying doctors and nurses watched in awe as each half shot into the air, did a triple somersault and then joined together in one smooth motion before landing in a nurse's arms. Both mothers are resting comfortably. Nice Rat says update 8, my fiance turned into a liter of beer and Jake drank him. It's getting ridiculous now, isn't it? Conscious Survey says, I'm glad Tracy come around and realized that it was the families doing this and not you and Jake. This is exactly what you needed and you'll be a lot happier for it, especially in the long run. You are taking care of your and your chosen family, and that's all you need to do. Enjoy your freedom. And like the comments say, I hope that is the end of that for OP. Personally, I can't see it. With the unhinged behavior that we've seen already, it always feels like that they would try something else. The fact that after they had this message from OP, they didn't step back, they didn't reevaluate their behavior, they didn't think, fuck me, what have we done? We've sort of alienated our daughter against us. They send the police round their house claiming that the fiance had her against her will. Like if some way that was ever successful and the police took her away back to her parents, OP is then going to go, okay, fair enough, I'll stay here now, you batshit crazy people. But all I can say is I wish you and Jake all the best going forward. I wish you peace and happiness in your lives, and I hope they bloody do leave you alone. Ugh, dearie me. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Rounderino from sysadmin. So it's an IT based story, especially with what just went on recently. I'm sure everyone's seen it. It starts off with a brief story, some comments, another update, and just what was going on during that time. The title of it is, I should feel bad, but I don't. It's making me chuckle already. My company laid off the whole IT team, including me, about a month ago, and outsourced it overseas. Former co-worker just sent me a picture of the HR lady carrying the monitor from her computer to the server room while on the phone with support to try and resolve CrowdStrike outage. It's going to be rough for companies with only remote support. Josh says to that, I was laid off at my last job. My last project? Install CrowdStrike on all machines in my region. My new workplace just finished the decom of CrowdStrike last week. Hacky Sack says, congratulations. They played themselves. John Beeman says, you're getting blamed for this. I mean, already. Like now in a meeting. Dark Murphy says, universal work solution. It's always the people who left recently. So over the next 5 hours, OP gives some updates on what was going on or what they heard was happening. So OP heard that from another former IT co-worker reached out to the company and offered to come back and help. They told him, thanks, but we're sure this will be resolved before we can even get you through orientation. I think orientation is 3 days or something if I remember right. Update 2, the group chat is blowing up. CIO just came in and she is flipping out on everyone. She just told my buddy to get Dell on the phone right now. Lol. HR lady is crying apparently. Also, they can't find anybody with keycard access to the second server room and can't create any new keycards. Update 3, it seems that the CIO just learned that this is a global outage and my buddy said she looks super relieved. All upper leadership went into a closed door meeting. My buddy is still on hold with Dell. He works in finance. Everyone else is just sitting around. HR lady went home. Mini update, hourly staff sent home but salary staff have to stay. Food is being delivered for the senior leadership meeting, but nobody else. My buddy is still on hold with Dell. I don't know why I find that so funny. Resolution update. The CEO's nephew came in because he's good with computers. Oh dear me. He's going around getting everyone's workstations back up. My buddy says it looks like he's following instructions he found on Reddit. Now, I'm going to quote the exact description he sent me. Dude, this guy looks like if Timothy Chalamet went to the gym 6 days a week, but he's wearing a shirt with an anime girl that says Demon Slayer. What the hell? Also, the girls in accounting won't stop talking about how good he smells. So dude, if you're on here, the girls in accounting appreciate your help. A couple other tidbits. Building maintenance had to come open a server room door. The CEO screamed at the phone support guys to give his nephew whatever he needed. I'm assuming credentials. The CIO was heard through the wall defending themselves by saying, I'm not technical, I was brought for my leadership abilities. Domino's was delivered for all the staff that had to stay. Dell never picked up. Scuba Fork says to this one, getting rid of your IT team is like saving money by not purchasing smoke alarms and fire extinguishers until after you need them. E Calligrapher says, my favorite analogy for it is firing the airline pilot while the plane is still in the air. Passengers think it's fine because they're still flying even without a pilot. Cat says, I prefer the analogy of interrupting a medical operation. Hire several years of experienced doctors and hire another single just graduate one to continue with the operation. Obvious Water says, I was laid off about a year ago by a company that has 10,000 plus hosts running CrowdStrike. I feel bad for the infrastructure team that's still there. But as for the company itself, fuck them. Gomex says, it's funny all companies treat IT like a cost center and bitch about our budgets. But hell, turn off or reboot the wrong box, you get yelled at. Without this server, we are losing lots of money. Well, which is it? Do we generate money or suck it? That day was crazy, man. I was in town and I was waiting for some shops to open because I managed to get there like really early. I just had some food and I was told that the card machine wasn't working or something, so I had to pay in cash. And then I was just stood outside because I got the bus into town because I didn't feel like driving. And I was just listening to people in the queue to the bus coming up with like all different kinds of like conspiracy theories about what was going on. And the bus stop was outside a shop called Greg's. If you're unfamiliar with it, it's basically like a big chain bakery, if you like, which sells sausage rolls. And a guy came out and he was absolutely pissed off because they couldn't accept this card. And I mean pissed off that he couldn't have a sausage roll. And you know when you're like trying to stop yourself laughing, but you can feel the corner of your mouth move? That was me in that moment. But anyway, now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.